Biography of Helen Keller. She could not see, she could not hear, she could not speak, but she changed the world. Helen Keller's life is not just a story, it's a message of hope, struggle, and powerful determination. Welcome to Glorious English. Today, you'll hear a true emotional story told in simple English, so you can improve your language while feeling every word deeply. This is the painful but inspiring journey of Helen Keller. Let's begin. Helen Keller was born in Alabama, in 1880. She was a healthy, beautiful baby with golden hair, soft cheeks, and bright blue eyes. Her parents, Arthur and Kate Keller, were proud and joyful. They kissed her small hands, whispered to her gently, and watched her grow day by day. Life was peaceful. Her first steps brought laughter. Her little giggles filled the house with happiness. She looked at the world with wonder, and the world smiled back. But then, something happened. When Helen was only 19 months old, a terrible fever struck. Her tiny body burned. Her face turned red. Her eyes were weak. She cried all night and shook with pain. The doctor came, but no one knew what kind of sickness it was. Days passed in fear, and then the fever was gone. Her body cooled. She stopped crying. Her parents felt hope again. She will be fine, they thought. She survived, but they were wrong. One morning, Helen's mother called out to her, "Helen, come here, sweet girl." But Helen didn't move. She didn't turn her head. She didn't smile. She didn't hear. Her mother clapped her hands near Helen's ears. Nothing. She waved her hands in front of Helen's eyes. Still nothing. Her mother shouted louder, "Helen, look at me!" But Helen just stood there, staring into emptiness. Their hearts broke. Their daughter had become deaf and blind. She was now trapped in a world without sound, without light, without voices, without color. The world that once smiled at her had suddenly disappeared. Silence, darkness, confusion. That was all Helen had left. As Helen grew older, life became more difficult. She could not understand others. She could not speak her thoughts. She became wild, frustrated, lost, angry. She would scream for hours. She would hit the furniture. She would throw plates, pull hair, kick walls. She bit her own family members. She grabbed food from the table and laughed like a storm. Her world was dark, and she didn't know how to escape it. She wanted to communicate, but didn't know how. Her parents were heartbroken. They cried quietly every night. "What can we do?" they whispered. "She's smart, we can see it, but we can't reach her." She was locked inside herself, a prisoner in her own body. But then a miracle came. One day, her parents heard about a young teacher from a special school for the blind. Her name was Sullivan. She was just 20 years old. She had once been blind herself. She was poor, but strong, filled with love, courage, and patience. Anne arrived with just a small suitcase, but a big heart. When she met Helen for the first time, Helen attacked her, scratched her, slapped her, screamed at her, but Anne stayed calm. She didn't leave. She whispered, "I will teach this girl. I will help her. I will not give up." The first days were hard. Helen didn't trust Anne. She refused to be touched. She broke Anne's glasses. She locked doors. She cried endlessly, but Anne stayed. Day after day, night after night, she followed Helen everywhere. She held her hands. She spelled words into her palm using her fingers. Helen didn't understand, but Anne never stopped. Then came the most powerful moment. One sunny day, Anne took Helen to the backyard, to the old iron water pump. She placed Helen's small hand under the cold water. It splashed onto her fingers. At the same time, Anne took Helen's other hand and spelled the letters W-A-T-E-R again and again. W-A-T-E-R, W-A-T-E-R, W-A-T-E-R. Helen froze. Her head tilted. Her mouth opened slightly. The water continued to pour. Anne kept spelling. Suddenly, something happened. Something magical. Helen dropped her head back and then suddenly signed the word water in Anne's hand. Anne gasped. Her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Helen," she cried. "Yes, water." Helen smiled, and then she laughed. She touched the water again. Then she touched her own face. Then she pointed to the ground. She wanted to know the names of everything. She ran around the yard, grabbing flowers, rocks, trees, and every time Anne spelled the word into her hand. That day was the beginning of her real life. From that day, Helen learned fast, faster than anyone expected. She learned to sign hundreds of words. She wanted to read. She wanted to write. Anne taught her to use Braille, a way for blind people to read books with their fingers. Helen touched every word slowly and felt the meaning inside her heart. She was hungry to learn. Every day she asked for more and more and more. She wrote letters to famous people. She read the Bible, poetry, novels, all in Braille. Her fingers danced over the pages. Her eyes could not see the letters, but her soul could feel every sentence. She wanted to speak with her mouth too. Anne took her to a special school. There, Helen practiced placing her hand on the lips and throat of her teachers, feeling how words were made. It was hard, so hard, but she didn't stop. Her first spoken word was, "It is warm." And slowly she learned to speak full sentences. And then, something even greater happened. Helen Keller became the first deaf-blind person in history to go to college. She was accepted into Radcliffe College, part of Harvard University, one of the top colleges in America. It was not easy. The textbooks were not in Braille. Anne had to spell every word into Helen's hand for 4 years, but Helen finished her degree. She graduated with honors. She wore her black gown, shook hands with the professors, and smiled proudly. She couldn't hear the cheers. She couldn't see the crowd, but she felt their hearts. She became a writer, publishing books and essays. She became a public speaker, standing on stages across America and Europe. She gave speeches about education, hope, and the rights of people with disabilities. She met presidents, world leaders, authors, poets, children, soldiers, nurses, teachers, kings and queens. The world opened to her because she had opened herself to the world. Her teacher, Sullivan, stayed by her side for 49 years, guiding her, supporting her, loving her. They were more than teacher and student. They were soulmates. When Anne died in 1936, Helen wept silently. Her best friend was gone, but Helen continued her mission. She worked for peace. She fought for justice. She helped blind children. She visited wounded soldiers after the war. She spoke in schools, hospitals, and even prisons. She brought light where there was darkness. She gave voice to the voiceless. Helen lived until the age of 87. She passed away in 1968 in her sleep. The world mourned. Newspapers around the globe wrote about her. People cried. People prayed. People remembered. And even today, we still remember. Helen once said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision." What a sentence! What a life! What a woman! She never saw a rainbow, but she painted the world with her strength. She never heard music, but her words touched the hearts of millions. She never shouted, but her voice echoed across history. She is proof that we are more than our bodies. We are our hearts. We are our dreams. We are our will to rise again and again. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Glorious English. We tell true emotional stories in simple English to help you learn from your heart, not just from a book. Comment below. What inspired you most about Helen Keller? Thank you for watching. We'll see you again in the next story.